Hello, science fans! Let's talk about something that's in your hands on your desk and probably in your pocket right now: electronics. We live in a truly amazing digital age surrounded by gadgets and gizmos that connect us, entertain us, and make our lives easier in countless ways. From the smartphone that wakes you up in the morning to the computer you use for work or school, these devices are central to modern life. But have you ever stopped to think about what happens when these amazing machines are no longer amazing? What happens when they break, become slow, or are replaced by the latest and greatest new model? They become something else entirely: electronic waste, or as it's more commonly known, e-waste. This isn't just a small pile of old phones, it's a worldwide tidal wave of discarded technology. So, what exactly counts as e-waste? It's a really broad category. Think of it this way: if it has a plug or a battery, it can become e-waste. This includes everything from the big stuff, like refrigerators, to the small, everyday items we often forget about. Every single one of these items, once discarded, contributes to a growing global problem that we all need to understand. Let's look at the numbers, because they tell a truly shocking story. The amount of e-waste we generate each year is not just large, it's monumental. Globally, humans produce tens of millions of metric tons of electronic waste annually. To put that into perspective, imagine a line of 40-ton dump trucks filled with old phones, laptops, TVs stretching all the way around the equator. Here in the United States, the situation is particularly striking. Americans are some of the biggest consumers of electronics, and as a result, some of the biggest producers of e-waste. According to studies cited by organizations like the United Nations University, Americans throw away an astonishing amount of value each year. We're talking about an estimated $55 billion worth of materials contained within that e-waste, just discarded annually. We are literally throwing away billions of dollars in the form of gold, silver, copper, other valuable metals. It's like tossing a wallet full of cash into the garbage can every time you upgrade your phone. The growth rate of e-waste is what makes it such an urgent issue. The World Health Organization has issued warnings that this particular waste stream is expanding significantly, outpacing our ability to manage it safely and effectively. Now, let's get into the serious science of why e-waste is so much more than just clutter. These devices aren't like paper or plastic bottles, they are miniature chemical cocktails. Inside the sleek casing of your old phone or computer, there are numerous substances that are hazardous to living things, including us. The primary culprits are heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, chromium. When e-waste ends up in a standard landfill, the trouble really starts. Over time, rain and other moisture can percolate through the landfill, creating a toxic liquid known as leachate. This leachate can pick up the heavy metals from the crushed electronics and carry them deep into the soil. From there, these toxic materials can contaminate groundwater, which is the source of drinking water for many communities. Imagine lead from an old television monitor seeping into the water you drink or use to grow food. According to the Institute of Physics, the amount of lead in e-waste is so significant that its release into the environment could cause severe damage to human blood, kidneys, the central nervous system. The environmental impact doesn't stop with water pollution. You might think that recycling is the obvious solution, and in principle, you'd be right. The problem is not all recycling is created equal. Proper, state-of-the-art e-waste recycling is complex and expensive, yet much of the world's e-waste doesn't reach advanced facilities. It's often shipped, sometimes illegally, to developing countries and processed in makeshift recycling yards. Methods there are primitive, dangerous, and devastating to workers and the environment. Many people never see this side of recycling. One of the most common practices is the open burning of cables and circuit boards. The goal: melt plastic to reach copper wire. Workers, often children, throw piles of insulated wires into open fires. Burning releases thick black plumes of toxic smoke: dioxins, furans, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Workers inhale these fumes all day with almost no protection. That causes respiratory illnesses, skin diseases, and long-term problems like cancer. It's a heartbreaking cycle of poverty and pollution. So why are we generating so much e-waste in the first place? Why do our devices seem to have such short lifespans? A big part of the answer lies in a business strategy called planned obsolescence. This is the idea that products are intentionally designed to have a limited lifespan, becoming obsolete or non-functional after a certain period of time. A classic example is when a new operating system is released for a smartphone. Apple's updates have introduced features like new haptic responses that only work on the newest hardware. The new software might technically run on your older phone, but it often runs much slower. It drains the battery faster, it may not support the latest apps. This effectively pushes you to upgrade to a newer model to regain smooth performance. Another form of planned obsolescence is designing products that are difficult or impossible to repair. Have you ever tried to replace the battery in a modern smartphone? Many devices are sealed shut with strong adhesives, requiring special tools and patience to open without damage. Companies may use proprietary screws that standard screwdrivers can't handle. Or they may solder memory and batteries directly to the motherboard. This makes simple repairs so difficult and expensive that many people just give up and buy a new device. A report from the ENS Europe agency highlighted a worrying trend in large household appliances, washing machines, refrigerators. It found the percentage of large appliances replaced within 5 years grew from 7% in 2004 to 13% in 2013. Companies contribute by ending support for older models. It's a system designed to funnel consumers toward one single path: buying new. The problem of planned obsolescence is made even worse by a simple, frustrating economic reality. Very often it is cheaper to buy something new than to fix something old. This economic imbalance steers consumers away from repair and toward replacement. Think about a mid-range printer that stops working. You take it to a repair shop and get an estimate. The technician's labor and the price of the necessary spare part might come out to $80. But right next door, a big box store is selling a brand new, faster printer with more features for only $60. First, mass production in global supply chains makes new electronics incredibly cheap to manufacture. Automated factories churn out millions of units at a very low cost per device. In contrast, repair is labor-intensive. It requires a skilled technician to diagnose the problem, to source the correct part, and to perform the repair. In countries with higher labor costs, repair can't compete on price with mass-produced new products. Furthermore, constant marketing and the desire for the latest features play a huge psychological role. Companies spend billions on advertising to convince us our current devices are inadequate. They create a culture of perpetual upgrades where a 2-year-old phone can feel like a social faux pas. This perceived obsolescence is as powerful as planned obsolescence. Even if your old device works fine, the allure of a better camera, a faster processor, or a sleeker design can be too strong to resist, especially with attractive financing plans or contract renewals. The environmental costs of this system are completely externalized. They don't show up on the price tag. Faced with such a massive global problem, it's easy to feel powerless. But the truth is, individual actions, when multiplied by millions, can create a powerful wave of change. You have more power than you think. The journey to reducing e-waste starts with a simple shift in mindset, seeing our electronics not as disposable items but as durable goods to be used as long as possible. The most effective way to reduce waste is to not create it in the first place. Fight the urge to upgrade needlessly and focus on maintaining and extending device life. Keep your software updated, clean out old files, protect your phone with a good case. Before you rush to buy a new device, ask yourself a critical question. Can this be repaired? Cracked screen, dying battery. Look for local, independent repair shops in your community. Supporting them not only helps reduce e-waste but also strengthens your local economy. If a device is truly beyond repair or you no longer need it, don't just toss it in the trash. Sell your old electronics online, donate to charities, donate to schools, donate to community centers. Many organizations refurbish old computers and phones and give them to people who can't afford new ones. Your old laptop could be an essential tool for a student in need. When a device has reached the absolute end of its life and cannot be repaired or reused, proper recycling is crucial. While individual actions are the foundation of change, we also need bigger, systemic solutions to truly turn the tide on e-waste. One of the most promising solutions is to implement and expand what are known as extended producer responsibility programs. In an EPR system, the manufacturers are made financially and logistically responsible for the entire life cycle of their products. One popular idea is requiring electronic sellers to provide mandatory buyback or return systems. This would create a powerful incentive for companies to design products that are easier to recycle or refurbish. If a product is easy to disassemble, its components can be reused in new devices. We need to support a right to repair movement that pushes companies to make spare parts repair manuals and diagnostic tools available to everyone, not just their own authorized technicians. We need companies to pioneer new business models like leasing devices instead of selling them, so they always retain ownership and have a built-in incentive to make them durable and easy to upgrade. Another important policy tool could be introducing export limits on e-waste. A lot of e-waste from developed nations ends up in developing countries where it is processed in unsafe conditions. New regulations could tie the quantity of e-waste a country exports to the amount it recycles or reuses domestically. It's about taking responsibility for our own waste instead of just shipping the problem out of sight. We stand at a critical juncture. The digital revolution has brought us incredible benefits. But progress has a hidden cost, a rapidly growing stream of toxic waste. This requires everyone to participate. As consumers, we must be more conscious. For the long-term sustainability of our technological progress, we must act now. The future is not yet written. We all have a role in building a cleaner, smarter, more sustainable world.